We're live.
Episode. Oh my God, it's episode 20. What'd you get
It
me?
is. Nothing.
Wow, me
Nothing.
neither. Me neither. Look at that. We have a
Um,
mutual understanding there.
Well, let's tell everybody what we're going to be talking about today, and then we'll shoot the shit for a minute and do it.
Yeah. I think that it would be fun to talk about the top 10, or at least the top 10 on this one website that I found, the biggest myths of CrossFit. And a lot of them actually were things that I used to believe as well. So it's
Okay.
it'll be fun. Yeah.
Hopefully it's relatable to people. And it's hard to, from being in on my side of the fence for so long, it's actually gotten hard to understand what those things are.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting because I'll be caught off guard by some of them, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I'm sure some of them you've heard too, or at least
100%.
you'll remember.
Yep. And then I was going to start off. I wonder if I could find this really easily.
Did you find
someone sent me the only problem is I never can log into my Instagram. The correct one.
I saw something on Instagram the other day that irritated me. And it's very fitness related. So I always get these things and I'm on this algorithm and it's like, do muscle ups. This is how you do ring muscle ups. This is how you do this, like these movements, right? Get a good snatch, and this one guy, he has to be some like calisthenics person. But he's like, to do a bar muscle up, you just very serious. You just do a pull up and then just lean over the bar and it's that easy. I'm like,
super simple.
You ass. I wish you could just spam him or just throw him in the spam folder and somebody shuts his account down.
Where was this at? Was this on our?
It was on Instagram. No.
On our Instagram or?
No. It was just something that had popped up in my feed and I about sent it to you because I was like, this asshat. It is not just that. You are ripped. I can see every muscle in your body. And you've obviously been doing this forever. So you can probably just do a strict muscle up, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, you just do a pull up and then lean over the bar. It's that easy. I'm like,
he probably was being facetious.
No,
I can never say that word.
Very serious.
No way.
He was trying to start a fitness account where he could teach people how to do it. I didn't look.
That's a good start.
Yeah. I couldn't wait to scroll past it, but I also wanted to send it to you, and I think I may have forgotten about it.
Trying to find. Is this it?
1 second.
Okay, here we go.
Brian, Katie.
Okay, how do I do this? Sound is this?
Oh, mommy's inside. You can't hear me, right? Can you hear me? She's yelling out the window. Sorry.
I can't hear her. I can hear you.
My God, sorry. I thought I turned it all the way down.
Okay. Let me see if I can pull this up here.
Yeah. Ooh, you're doing technical things here.
This is what someone sent me about. This was on bench press day yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And someone sent me you this morning. How do I get the volume? Oh.
It is a dictatorship. I am the law. This is no democracy. It is a dictatorship. I am the law. This is no democracy.
Love it.
Made me think of Sarah for some reason.
Sarah Graves?
Yeah. Doesn't she always try and negotiate?
I don't know about that. It was just that was coming from my attitude around making sure people were going hard on the bench press.
Yeah.
And not letting them sandbag at all. Yeah. Yeah. Non-optional. Go heavy.
I could tell you were really enjoying that dictatorship yesterday, especially when you made me redo the set of 3 after the set of 5. It's he's really gonna make me redo this right now. Really gonna come at me like that.
It's true. So that's a big problem though. People think that you do have some say, but really I'm not listening if it's gonna be just the common, I'm just a little tired, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That eventually as a coach we have to put our foot down and just be like, no, we are doing this today and you're gonna push yourself, you know what I mean? And just get people because otherwise we'll all get in our own way without that little push. sometimes. Now, that doesn't mean every day I'm not listening and then putting together the picture for myself to be like, okay, this person's actually working around an injury, should not be pushing themselves in this particular spot or here. This person has been really stressed out at work or with their family, or, I'm listening for those things. But when I don't hear enough of that, then I'm also kind of like, no, you're gonna push today. Like,
You can make it
there's a
happen.
few people. Yeah, there's a few people that just, that's got to be in their face all the time.
Yeah, that's great. I enjoyed yesterday when we were talking about other people at the gym, and I wanted to be the guy, but you dictated me. Is that?
Oh, how you were like, yeah, and then they were doing this sandbagging or whatever, and you're talking smack about them, and then
I was like,
you
I'll
ended
tell
up
him.
being that guy.
You want me to tell him? And you're like, no, I'll tell him. I'm like, okay, shut up.
Oh yeah, that part.
Because they could have gone heavier. Yeah, what it was.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Okay, so let's go into what's the first myth, Jeff? What do we got?
Yeah. Okay, so CrossFit is only about competition.
Yes, 100%. Moving on. I'm just kidding.
You were just brought this up the other day. You were talking about a guy that could potentially be coming to our gym, right? And he's actually leaving a very competition heavy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if the place per se is that way. What's unique about CrossFit is that you do have this world of sport and world of health and fitness.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of differences and I see a lot of crossover as from my, chair, let's so to speak. And I do think that there are definitely going to be gyms that push more the competition side of things than they should.
Yeah.
And there's going to be the opposite probably, where they don't push competitive enough to where really the competition is what's breeding the intensity out of people to get the result. Now, it doesn't mean that we're performing like it's the CrossFit Games and we're trying to expect anything crazy day in and day out. Absolutely not. Once a week, maybe once every other week. Yeah, 100%. We're looking for that kind of like, what I tell people is like, hey, when you see workouts that kind of sit within your wheelhouse, that's where you push. Or where you see a workout where it has maybe 3 movements and only one of them hinders you, but the other 2 you can smoke. It's like, okay, now we're starting to put together this little competitive mindset so that you can really try to push yourself, but be smart around it. And that's kind of, there's a lot of lessons that can be learned from being a little bit competitive about it. But again, that's not the primary target of every day at all. In fact, the primary target is always move with good mechanics.
Yeah.
And do that consistently. Then you can layer in the intensity or the competitive nature of it. There's a guy joining our gym that is like very competitive. You know him from your past as well.
Yeah. Do you make the decision?
So, yeah, he is joining. Nice. And he's trying to stay under the radar, so I'm going to respect that. So
yeah, for sure. One thing that I think that it was probably one of our past 20 episodes, but you were talking about like do yourself a favor and like you don't have to RX everything, like why don't you slow it down a little bit and work on like the mechanics of it, or maybe go a little bit lighter than what you normally would do. And that was something that I've started to pay a lot of attention to, especially with like working on like snatch movements or something. When I can tell that like my form is starting to just like take a shit, I'm just like, dude, I know Brian beat me by 20 pounds. And if I put another plate on here, I could probably get close, but I'm like, I'm doing myself a disservice. And I know my shoulders hurt. Like it's been hurting in the past, but it's feeling good now. So the last thing I want to do is like lose my form, do something outside of my like comfort zone, and then not help, but hurt myself, and then set me back. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's I think that's cool, and I think that there's so many different ways to like scale the workouts. It's like fun in class, like going through and trying to figure out where everybody needs to land to be like in a comfortable situation to do the rest of the workout. And there's just like such a wide swath of like, his abilities the right way, or like
100%.
See where people fit. So
abilities and capacities both. Right. Some of it's like the actual ability to do the movement, some of it's the capacity to do it over and over again. Right. And so you're dealing with both of those and juggling both of those, and it's constant fine-tuning for individuals and groups as a whole. Like And then, I mean, really, you just look at it like this. Like, if you need to work on a nuance to improve your capacity, you're not going to be able to work on a nuance at intensity. You're only going to be able to do that at a lighter intensity. So take a movement like the snatch, like you were using for example. That movement cannot be done slowly. It's not a slow moving, like the whole reason you use it is to be powerful. So because it has to be done fast, if you're working on a nuance within it, you're going to have to try to isolate that a little bit. And that might mean changing like the speed of an area to influence another area. And it might mean lightening that load, obviously, so that you can manipulate that area in that much time, because that's how much time you really have. So like say it was having a better turnover, like being able to turn over into that punch position, right?
Yeah.
So if you're trying to maximize that, oftentimes what we do is we actually lighten the load significantly. We pull a little slower, and we usually will pull a little higher, so you got way less to think about. You can't break it down from the floor. You can't mess it up early. You get it to where you can't really mess it up. So let's say we're starting just right in the hip, and that's it. The whole workout is you in the hip. It means it's a much lighter weight than probably what was prescribed from the floor and from someone who's got experience. So like it was 135, and for you that's like 80%, and you're supposed to move that 30 times in the workout. That's probably too heavy.
Yeah, not gonna
right?
happen.
And if we're really working on the nuance of that turnover and punch, it's got to be light enough to be within our capacity, right? To nail that nuance over and over and over again. And that's where people get lost, is it's just like, if we really focus on what we need to get out of the workout, we're going to get things out of the workout.
Yeah.
But if we only focus on like what was prescribed and tunnel vision there, then we're probably getting less out of the workout long term. And like
trying
you
to beat
said,
the guy in front of you.
risk of setback. And anytime you get setback, that's huge. That's not small. Talking to this CrossFit Games athlete who's in the Masters division, he's like in the 50 to 55 division, and basically a big portion of that division is not getting injured so that you can perform.
Yeah.
And that's it. And if you could not get injured, you're already miles ahead of half of your competitors, if not more.
Yeah, it's crazy. Risk.
But as far as like, is it a competition? It is if you're making it so. It is if you have no self-control. But one of the things that CrossFit teaches people is self-control. So I'd say it's far from that, but it can be that, and that can be a beautiful thing, and it could be a dangerous thing. And it's your job and the coach's job to kind of help you navigate that terrain and find the best of both worlds.
Yeah. I like today you were talking about, hey, if there's like a workout where it's like, oh, hey, that's kind of in your wheelhouse, then you can go like ham, right? But you're not gonna hurt. Like today, dude, like I suck at running, but I got back. I had to help my kid get on Netflix, but then I was like,
oh yeah,
dude, I'll do shoulder taps. I could do that. Maybe I got a little swingy with my toes to bar.
a little
He
bit.
did
Yeah.
hit me up, but it was fun. Like the competition part is there.
Yeah.
If you want it to be there, and
if you can access that with good mechanics.
Yeah, for sure. Nice.
All
So
right,
I think we've
what's the next
that.
myth?
Yeah. Okay. So, this was me. I am not fit enough to start CrossFit yet.
Okay, yeah, that's probably one of the most common ones. And that's largely because the media that you're seeing on CrossFit is largely what's on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And what's on YouTube is going to be the fun, sexy CrossFit Games things, and that is not realistically what people are doing.
Yeah.
What people are, it's definitely not what they should be doing, and what you see in a day-to-day box, like far removed from that. Those people train hours a day to be that fit, right? And then the whole point of CrossFit is to improve your work capacity across broad time and modal domains, which is kind of the definition of fitness. Like when you're looking at, most people would say like a triathlon person is like, oh man, they're crazy fit. And it's like, that only means that they can endure. It doesn't mean that they're super fit, right? It really just means they can endure. And that's a great base for a lot of people, right? But you shouldn't take anybody and just go in and run in that triathlon. You know what I mean? You should be preparing for that and doing things like that to get fit enough for the task, right? the beauty of CrossFit is we just scale that. So let's say it was to run, the goal was to run 26 miles and then bike, what is it, 100 and whatever miles, and then
A lot.
swim 2 miles or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Let's say it was something crazy like an Ironman like that. Well, let's put that into a CrossFit gym and we need this done in an hour. First of all, you're not doing any of that within 1 hour
Yeah.
by itself. Second of all, we do want to hit the 3 different modalities, let's say, and let's pretend we had access to a pool or a lake. Then it's cool. We just end up modifying everything to a range where it's specific for the individual that can be done. So call it like an AMRAP. You have 60 minutes. Let's make it a 15-minute warm up. And that gives us 15 minutes, 15 minutes for each of those movements. So you can be like, okay, we're going to run for 15 minutes. We're going to bike for 15 minutes and we're going to swim for 15 minutes. Right. Or, whatever order you want. That's just how we scale it to where it can be done as far as like, this is what we really have realistically. The other thing there too is like, that's crazy. That's a crazy, absurd thing to think. All that's training is one component of fitness. And there's 10 of them. It might be training too, because there's some stamina to it as well.
Right.
But it's largely just training the cardiovascular system.
This one was so me. And I finally got to the point where I was like, rip the Band-Aid off. Because it was like, okay, I got to get a little bit more fit on my own so that I can go in and be successful in the gym. I was like, dude, your ass hasn't done anything for the last 26 years. You think that now you've got the self-discipline to like get into shape so that you can go to the gym? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it hasn't happened to this point, it ain't going to happen. You just get there and get uncomfortable.
And so that belief, like, there's 2 reasons we make any decisions in our life. Reason number 1 would be to move us away from some discomfort, to move away from discomfort. And reason number 2 is to solve a problem, right? So what they're looking at when they say they're not fit enough is that they're afraid of the discomfort. So they're staying away from the discomfort. That's all they're doing there. Yeah. They're not solving any problems. They're just moving away from discomfort when you make that excuse for yourself, right? And that's where we have to debunk that right away, because no workout do people really get done and be like, well, that was cool, like, what's next? You know what I mean? Like, no, it's all uncomfortable because it's so scalable that everybody from novice to experienced is getting thrown into the fire, so to speak, because that's how this system works. Right now, we just make sure that the movements and things that they're doing for that smaller time period make sense to their ability levels and their capacities, right? No, you're muted now.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
I meant to turn seeing if that worked.
I heard a knock, knock, knock on the door. Yeah. I was like, can't talk. I swear to God.
Still knocking. This brief intermission.
Okay.
You back?
I'm back now. Yeah. So like one of my favorite things is like drawing inspiration from the people who got so uncomfortable that they showed up to the gym. And it's like those people, it's like, I wish that I would have done that sooner. You know what I mean? Because the growth in yourself comes from when like you're super uncomfortable. Like you're going to go and try something new because you're trying to better yourself. And then I'm like, dude, if I can go to the gym when I'm that guy's age, I've made it. You know what I mean? And like not worry about what anybody has to say, because nobody's judging you. We're all running our own race, right? It's like help them out, be cool, and like that's awesome. Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, so I think when we go back to that decision thing I was talking about too, like the funny thing about problem solving is I don't know if it ever happens without discomfort. Like if you could find a way to solve a problem and not be uncomfortable and solve it with an efficient process and an effective process, that's like a unicorn, right? And I think it's make believe and pretend to say that can be so. It's supposed to be hard work. And I think part of being human and learning and growing and helping the community out and the larger community and whatnot is all about knowing where you can give and take. So anytime you're avoiding discomfort, you're taking, right? That's you stealing from somebody essentially, right? Like let's call it a community load. And like that's you taking from that load
Yeah.
to
Are you
avoid
talking about
discomfort.
like are you talking about like when we used to run in tribes? Is that what you're talking about?
We still do. We
That's true.
might be under this fallacy that we aren't, but
Yeah.
we definitely are. We just there's a little more complexity to it where there's not as much separation, where it's like
Yeah.
one just bleeds into a bigger and bigger and bigger. So at any rate, it's if we're not solving a problem, we are taking. And it's okay to take as long as you spend time giving too.
Yeah.
But you can't just spend the whole time taking. And so all these people who want to say they're not fit enough to start CrossFit, they're busy taking right now, in my opinion, right? When they're finally ready to give, we're going to give too. And
Yeah.
they're, you know what I mean? Like it's all going to, everybody's going to rise, right? And then even like just the bundle that we get to take from is going to get larger,
Yeah.
right? The slice of pie will get larger.
I was just gonna say everybody gets a bigger slice of pie.
Yeah. Because you grow the pie, you don't grow the slice.
Pie. Yeah. Pie gets bigger. Nice. So debunked again?
Yeah, I mean that one's the silliest one I've ever heard.
Yeah.
The whole point of CrossFit is to get you fit.
Yeah.
So don't try to get fit before CrossFit. In fact, most of the time what we see there is people with a bunch of bad habits and a bunch of like negative mindsets, and they've never been consistent. And there's just so many problems that they run into there trying to do it on their own to get started first. Just join a CrossFit gym, find consistency. And if you're at the right gym, they're preaching you good mechanics first, followed by consistently performing those mechanics, followed by intensity on top of those good mechanics. So
yeah. And I've never seen you take somebody new and be like, we're doing handstand push-ups today. Go
kick up to
screw
the wall
yourself
now.
if you can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Show me kick up to the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that? You're overweight and you've never been upside down in your life? I don't care.
It's all right. You've got 2 shoulders.
So what if one gets injured? Yeah, no, that's not like that at all.
Yeah.
Not like that. It's always, and that's why you should see this in our classes and maybe so for everybody to know, Jeff is not a coach at our gym, so he doesn't see the back end like I do. So you should see this when we have a workout of the day and you see a movement in there. Almost every class, for either all movements or at least the harder ones first, but we always prioritize a few movements to go over the progression. And in that progression, you have anybody can do it. Next layer, next layer, next layer, next layer, next layer, right? So that you're hitting in a progression. And what that does is that the novice gets to see where they can access and push themselves a little bit in the progression and then be like, okay, in the workout, I need to be here.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas the advanced goes all the way through it and they're refining skills along the way. They're refining those nuances, staying focused, and they're warming up towards that intense movement or that higher skill movement so that their nervous system and everything is firing on all cylinders. So the advanced person's getting a lot out of that too. That's the whole point of progressions and the way we coach at our gym is to make sure that we are getting the novice access to what they need to access and then the experience building into that. Right.
Yeah.
And it does change who's there, right? Spend
Yeah.
more time on novice things with a class that has only novices, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty rare. There's always a wider range, I would say.
Yeah. And everybody ends up in their little box. Like, oh, this is where you should be. This is what you should be working on.
But everybody gets the opportunity to push themselves too.
Yeah.
To be like, can I reach to that next level? And then they either go, nope, or they go, yeah. And because it's a progression, it's not like it's going from like a baby step to a ginormous step. It's just baby steps all the way to it.
Yeah. It's very, very good. All right. Debunked. This next one? No, nothing about, although I do enjoy it. CrossFit makes women bulky.
Oh, okay. That's probably also from like just seeing the CrossFit Games women.
Yeah.
And I find them attractive like 90% of the time. So yeah, I think and maybe part of it's just for me being in this culture for a long time, but That's very appealing to me. I've always kind of
Yeah.
told people I don't think it's appealing to have a woman who looks like they can't take care of themselves and that you're gonna have to fucking do all of that for them. That sounds exhausting to me,
Yeah.
right?
Can't
And so
chase
when
a
we look at
stroller.
like skinny model shit, like it
Yeah.
drives me insane. Like that's not appealing, right? That is not appealing at all. I need someone who looks like they can handle themselves,
Yeah.
right? And that's what we're building. Now, will it make you bulky? Yes, if and only if you can train 6 hours a day, take some hormones, and eat plenty of food.
Yeah.
I guarantee you nobody coming off the street is able to do any one of those 3 things.
Yeah.
And if they
Yeah.
can, they were only doing one.
Just about getting healthy.
Yeah, it is just
Yeah.
about getting healthy. And when you're healthy, your body will build muscle. It'll do what it's supposed to do. And you should want that. By
Yeah.
no means should you want to not build muscle. And most of these women who walk around thinking they need to lose weight actually need to build muscle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen there's tons of before and afters from great coaches out there where you see somebody 3 pounds heavier with more muscle, looks way thinner, looks way better.
I've seen that. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, it is. And that's good catch.
Thanks.
That's just how that works. That's
Yeah.
like when you are building muscle and losing fat, you're going to look better.
Yeah.
Most people need to do that. And I think I don't hear that as much anymore. Most women coming in aren't afraid of that at all. They are, in fact, they're asking to burn fat, increase muscle.
Yeah.
Which is a great spot to do this in.
On the flip side of that, so I also enjoy good competition. So I was instantly in love when my wife beats my ass at everything. We've talked about that. Runs faster than me, lifts more than me, all the things. So it's enjoyable. I'll take it.
It is. I think honestly, it creates a better relationship, and a lot of times when you can be competitive and learn to control those sides of you. Like I think I saw this in Stoicism. The 3 things you're trying to become as a human in life is strong, persevering, and to develop good self-control.
Strong,
right?
persevering, and self-control.
So strength, I think that's kind of like that philosophical word of strength where yes, it probably also means physically strong, but it also means like emotionally strong, mentally strong, all that stuff, right? And then you have persevering where it means like you're just not going to quit when the first sign of trouble comes, right? You're going to learn to persevere through tasks and difficulties and hardships, right? So that's persevering. And then you have great self-control. And that is a really tough skill that does need to be developed. And just because you don't have self-control over something now does not mean you get to just say, "Oh, I can't do that." Right? It just means I haven't developed the self-control around that yet, but I'm going to work towards it. Right? That's keeping that open mind and just knowing that sometimes when you lack self-control in an area, it takes perseverance and strength to overcome it. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the self-control comes up because a lot of people won't do it because they're too competitive. Oh, I don't want to do CrossFit because I'm too competitive. Bullshit. That is such a fucking excuse. I've never heard of anything. And like, honestly, that's someone who's afraid of their own potential.
Yeah.
And it's written, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Are you afraid to be fit? Are you afraid? And we are, believe me, we are afraid of our own potential. Everybody kind of has that roadblock where it's like, why don't I have $1 million? And you could find ways that you've stopped yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like your subconscious just pulled you back.
Yeah. What's that called? It'll come back to me. And I'm just going to like yell it out in the middle of the podcast. Cause I think there's actually a name for that.
It's not just fear of.
It's like self-deprecate. No, I don't remember what it is. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's just, I wanted to say it. I wanted that really bad. But yeah, that's great. Like callousing the mind, like, you know, and even like say you're working through like a really difficult.
I don't find it
workout.
to be callousing. I think it's sharpening.
No? Oh, okay. That's a different way to put it. I just follow that one guy.
What you're doing, you're never really callousing the mind. What you're doing is sharpening it. You're learning to compartmentalize what you're saying to yourself and say, that's just me being tired. I'm going to put that over here. And what I need to focus on is the next step. Yeah. Right? Like that's you just working through a problem.
Yeah. Making your way through. But then like in the middle of like a workout, like like giving yourself the positive self-talk, like, dude, I'm going to make it through this. Like, this only just sucks right now, you know?
Yeah. There's a
Keep going.
guy, another competitive adaptive athlete, Jedediah Snelson, who's local, who
Yeah, that
comes
guy's
in our
awesome.
gym every once in a while. Might even coach for us a little bit here and there, but really popular in this community too, by the way. Like, I hear his name mentioned on a podcast I listen to, like the Saban podcast. His name, Jedediah, will be mentioned several times throughout a month on that podcast. I think he's even been on it as a guest before. But anyway, when you watch him work out, he will literally talk to himself. Be like, come on, Jed, you can do this, like stuff like that. And it's motivating to hear somebody do that. And because that's the voice that you should be having too, not that I can't do this. If you hear you say, I can't do this, you have some demons to work through. And what a better place than a group fitness class.
Yeah. It made me laugh yesterday. I was working out with Michael, right, doing that bench press. And I was like trying to get that third rep on my set of 3. And I was yelling, not a chance. But Michael heard me yelling, I'm the champ.
You're like, I should have been saying that. Yeah.
Like, you're right. Why was I talking so negative? I would have gotten it up had I yelled, I'm the champ, trying to lift that thing up. And Michael's like, this guy loves himself.
That reminds me too, like a lot of people forget that the whole gym scenario is really just a way to simulate a real life physical hardship, right? That's all it is. And so when we're lifting heavy, especially, or when we're going fast or whatever, we need to kind of psychologically put ourselves in a life or death state in order to get the hormone dump that's going to give us the best output. Now, we can never do that 100%.
Yeah.
But there are movements, like getting pinned on a bench press is a little scary.
It's a little terrifying.
So it creates that urgency in the psychology. Now we get that adrenaline dump, and all of a sudden we can do it. But when we're so-called callous, let's say, around that, we've done too much bench pressing, let's say, or like we just know ourselves a little too well, or we have all these barriers put up in front of us, where it's like, I've only ever done this much weight, so I'm only going to be able to do this much weight.
Yeah.
Like, those are all barriers where now, instead of feeling and reacting to that weight and that fear that gets you to overcome it, it starts being like, well, that's it. That's all I can do. And that puts a barrier in front of you. So there is a level of like mental side of things where you have to like reach into creating that simulation. And that's where I think competition is actually really healthy for people.
Just to see that it's been done, like, and you can get there, like, just make it happen.
I think you surprise yourself in competition because you feel more desperation.
Yeah.
You feel like you're in that life or death a little bit more.
Yeah. I'm quite literally terrified of the proven competition. Like, I have now been waking up. I'm like, hey, are we going to go early today? Like, I need to get there early. Because I'm thinking of it this way. I'm like, I got about 2 months, right, until the competition. I'm like, if I go and I do just like an extra 45 minutes of something, I've now got 4 months until the competition.
Oh, no, I don't know if it works out like that.
No, why not? Why can't it be like it's twice the amount of time?
It's mainly because of the adaptations. So some adaptations take longer period.
Yeah.
So like you're not going to get stronger for that competition as of right now.
Wait, like, I'm not going to get stronger before the competition?
Probably not. Like, you're going to be as strong as you are now, but it's like, can you increase your capacity with the strength you have? Yes. Right. So it's like, you can hang power clean 185 right now.
Yes.
But how many times can we do that? That's what can improve from here to there.
Okay, work on those things.
But you're probably not going to drive a whole lot of strength up from here to there, just because 2 months is only 8 weeks.
It's 4 months.
But if you do double the lifts, maybe that just takes your central nervous system down. You end up having a trend downward in fitness, because we still have to be able to recover. Right now, I'm not saying that you couldn't do more. You could definitely do more, because there's so many things we have to get good at.
Yeah.
So yeah, more would still help. It just, you got to make sure that you're also recovering enough for the next thing. Otherwise it stops working. So
we just debunked 2 myths there, that working out twice in one day does not add time.
Yeah. Damn it. I don't think that was on the list, though. I kind of doubt that.
And all right, are you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
I actually have never heard this, and I don't really know how to take it. and men's small. So it makes women bulky and men's small. Have you ever
Oh
heard that
yeah,
one
no,
before?
I've heard that. I gained
Really?
weight when I started CrossFit, so I can obviously
Yeah.
debunk that. I've seen people blow
Yeah.
up in muscle too, guys especially.
And
It's
plus
no
7
different.
pounds. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same things. Now, the only reason they're saying that is because there are some guys who only lift weights and then they go do
Uh-huh.
CrossFit and lose a bunch of weight.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, because they've never done conditioning. And it's like, remember, there's more to this puzzle than just your muscle mass. Like,
Yeah.
you also need a strong heart and a healthy heart. You also need to be able to do other things. You need to be powerful and you need to be strong, right? So there's a lot more to that than just size. But
Mhm.
I think you can just look at, I mean, we can look at the average male CrossFitter at a recreational level and see that they have a decent amount of muscle,
Yeah.
right? Now, you're not going to become bodybuilding ready by any means for this. That does require not exercising in a nice, well-rounded way. It just
Little heart.
this is all the things that increase muscle. This is
Oh,
all
yeah.
the things that increase heart's capabilities. You got to like deviate from that and just go, I'm just going to create more muscle. Which is why there's bodybuilders that die at young ages from heart attacks because their heart can't pump blood to their extremities with all that fucking muscle mass. So you can't have too much.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
It's a silly fear. You should be looking more at muscle function than size.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Huh. Well, I wish I could add more to this, but like I said, I've actually gained weight. So
yeah, I've only gained muscle in CrossFit.
yeah.
I stopped gaining muscle, and in order to gain more, I'd probably have to do less CrossFit. But then again, I would have to take away from my conditioning capacities.
Give and take.
And I'm not willing to do that to gain muscle for no reason. I have
Yeah.
good muscle function. I'm not
Yeah, you
gonna
look good.
destroy that. Yeah, that's silly.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can move past that one. All right. So number 6, CrossFit is not appropriate for older folks.
Yeah, that's silly too. So we just go back to scaling.
Yeah.
The whiteboard's probably going to be written for not an older person, but again, I think this is an interesting one though, because I do think that there are considerations that older folks have a hard time with. And
Yeah.
oftentimes it's because I see a lot of older people in the mindset of, I need to work harder. I need to keep up with so and so. I see a lot of that still happening. And it's like they never went through a phase in their life where they really challenged themselves to control how they interact with others in a space that's competitive so
Mhm.
that they get the most for themselves, but they don't have setbacks. And
Okay.
as you get older, the recovery side of this does become harder. So you have to be a little bit smarter as you're getting through that. And you might have an extra day off. You might have a day where you have to really scale back the intensity to work on mechanics and repetition and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And you're not looking at a certain age, you're really not looking to put on a bunch of strength and mass. You're trying to resist that going away,
Yeah.
right? But most people haven't trained. So most older people will actually still see an improvement when they start. But
So what
there's
are
90-year-old CrossFit members out there.
I was gonna say that's crazy. But I had already brought that up that I love and get motivated by working out with people that are like outside the like I don't want to say norm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like 24 years old working out.
Correct.
Like, dude,
Yeah.
you can continue to do this. Like,
And they do have different considerations. Like we have several members that are 50 plus.
yeah,
We even have one with 78, right? So
yeah,
and yeah, there's different considerations there. We can't have as much impact. We can't expect crazy loads to be lifted for crazy amounts of reps, right? There are considerations, but that's just scaling.
yeah,
That's all that is. We're going to lower the weight today. Maybe we're going to take it from the hip instead of the floor, right? Maybe we're going to expect less repetition out of this person. Maybe we're going to put them on a bike instead of jump roping every single day. Like
yeah,
there's easy things to be done. Easy to keep a good stimulus and still train the 10 components of fitness.
yeah.
It,
Sweet.
it's challenging, but that's the point of everything, right? We're not
Yeah.
running away from discomfort.
Do you think, and treading lightly, Do you think that it's, say, an older person goes to the doctor and they're like, you have high cholesterol. Is it a more popular option by the doctor to just put them on meds and not say anything about going and like working out or whatever? Do you think that like people are like telling people they should probably do more exercise and like moving towards that? Or because I'm trying to think like in the future, let's say I'm 78 years old, right? And I don't have the background. I haven't been working out, but I go to the doctor and I'm like, all right, dude, I'm not feeling good. Like, do you think that like doctors are like, you got to go like work out? Or is it like they're going to be like, you shouldn't be doing that. Here's some medication. Like, here's some, whatever it is. I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly, but
I think you've said it. You're just saying
yeah,
it. You're kind of
over
looping
and
back
over
around.
again.
I don't think that would be fair to doctors to say, I think they're doing this.
Yeah.
And to put them all into one general category. Yeah. Right. But at the same time, I do think that one of the issues I've seen is that we as a culture have not ingrained good, healthy practices enough. And then the doctors become a little bit what you could say maybe calloused here, where it's like, well, I've prescribed working out and eating right to 1 million people and none of them do it.
Yeah.
And then I could see them kind of giving up hope on people and just leaning on the medication now because they know that'll at least bring the numbers down.
Yeah.
But those numbers are just gauges, right? They're not guarantees. They're just gauges, right? To say like, hey, we know that for the most part, people need to be somewhere around here, right?
Yeah.
But then when the gauge goes over, what brings them back to here is what needs to happen. A medication brings it back to here, but it's not what would bring them back to there, if that makes sense, right? So, I mean, cholesterol is going to be multifactorial. And so I think sometimes they see that on the blood work and they immediately go to, here's a statin, or, that's actually for blood pressure. But they will more likely give them a medication and then also say, hey, let's start exercising and eating this way for the next little bit. And then we'll have another check-in in 6 months. And in the next 6 months, they give them this really loose guidance, right? And then the next 6 months, they go, well, did you improve on this? And then it's just up to the patient to be like, yes or no.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
What have you been
there's
doing?
no measurable improvement there. Right. And all they have left is the medication taking. Oh, it looks like your stuff is good. And they might wean them off of that, or they might keep them on it because it's working. Right. But usually cholesterol, you have to dig a little deeper with. And most of the time it's a lack of healthy fibers and varieties of fibers. If you just approach that, which is eating whole foods, that'll bring cholesterol down almost for everybody. Now, there's a few people that won't, but for the most part, that works almost every time.
I gotcha. Yeah, I was just thinking about like some of the older people that I know, and then like I've talked to them just like about the stuff that they're on, and just like a good way to like bring it up to them, be like try and like change the direction that they're in, because it's like, oh, just watch your cholesterol intake.
Mindset.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I never say watch your cholesterol intake.
Yeah.
I say if you're eating whole foods, you're not going to eat too much cholesterol, bad cholesterol.
Right.
Especially if you're adding in like your fibers, because you won't have enough space in your stomach to have too much shit in the first place. Right. And then second to that, it's like if you eat whole foods, it's really hard to overeat altogether.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you exercise, you're putting a demand on the reason for those foods, right? And cholesterol is what we make hormones with. It's what we make testosterone with, right? So if you're lowering someone's cholesterol and they also have low testosterone, you're just adding to the problem.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that might be what we're seeing in medical things, because they're seeing one data point and not comparing it and not seeing how the impact across all data points could be.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, oh, well, we're going to bring your cholesterol down, but then that's going to cause this low testosterone thing to get worse. So we're going to also put you on testosterone. It's like, before you know it, you have like tons of medicine that you're on. And guess who's happy with that? Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
have a whole
they're
show
loving
on Big
that.
Pharma. Yeah.
Yep. When it's like, really what you need to do is sleep, eat, train.
Sleep, eat, train. Get off the drugs.
Mhm.
All right, next one. I will have to train full time to make improvements.
I don't know. I'd love to hear somebody say that.
Yeah.
Who's that fit that they have to train full time? Now,
Yeah.
there is a point when you've done CrossFit, maybe as long as I have, where it's like, I could still eke out some results without going to full time. But there are some places where I would have to probably train a lot to see more results. But that's where it's
Uh-huh.
like, what do we need for life?
Yeah.
Where does it become excessive?
You got to take
Right?
from something if you're going to be,
Yeah.
you know.
And so maybe that's just someone who's either crazy fit and looking to over pursue fitness when it's like you have other areas of your life that you can improve.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The I don't train full time, and I feel like I'm seeing improvement.
Yeah. That's such a silly, I don't even know
Yeah.
who would have to train full time to see results
Yeah.
other than someone who's like already qualifying for like the semifinals and they're
Mhm.
not training full time yet.
Yeah. You're like, wait, you're
It's
what?
like, okay, well, that means maybe you do need to train full time to see
Yeah.
more results.
Yeah. And like, what's important to you? Like, what are you actually working out
Yeah.
for?
Yeah, and most people, it's not that, not the
Yeah.
semifinals. I know for me, it's not.
Yeah. That's crazy. Let's see here. On to the next one. This one might be a quick one. My gym doesn't do CrossFit, so just go find a CrossFit gym, right?
Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many. And you know what I see is a lot of gyms will actually actively preach against CrossFit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they don't love like squatting below parallel. And they're like, no, it's senseless, stupid, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, well, it's working for so many millions of people. So
Yeah.
when are you gonna figure it out?
Yeah.
And honestly, like when it comes to fitness, to some degree, it's whatever is gonna make you happy. If your gym's not making you happy, there's a good chance a CrossFit gym will. And the
Yeah.
challenge and don't expect it day one, right? Like you're gonna get humbled day one,
Yeah.
but over time you'll improve, and eventually, like between you and the community, everything is you're gonna be in a happy place. Almost, I can't say everyone needs it like in that sense, but I'd say everyone could do that. But yeah,
What?
that's silly.
Just join? Wait, what do you mean? Everybody
Just
could do
join a
what?
CrossFit gym. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just, yeah.
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 Just do
And
it. Make yourself uncomfortable and go.
I've been really practicing this as a gym owner too lately, where when I get a new client, I'm looking at their history and stuff like that, and they're trying to compare my gym prices to other CrossFit gym prices. Well, for one, most of this area were the same price,
Yeah.
right? Two, it's like, hey, go in, see if the coaches and the members jive with you a little bit, right? Give every single one of them a test. Honestly, I don't care, right? Like as long as you're doing something to make yourself better, that's cool. Don't choose a gym that because you think you're going to be able to fly under the radar. Don't choose a gym because you think that they're cool, but they're not going to give a shit about you, right? There's some of that goes on where it's like they have some badass athletes, but that's because that's who they focus on, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then yeah, it's just I don't care. Try all the gyms. Like other CrossFit gyms aren't my competition. My competition is doctors prescribing drugs over fitness. You know what I mean? Like my
Yeah.
competition is people who won't get off of their couch. My competition is TV. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's more who I'm competing with than other CrossFit gyms. So try out the gyms. Don't price shop. It's fucking annoying. It's the most annoying thing. It's like
Yeah.
saying
It's a
I
waste
don't
of
actually
time.
value what you are or who you are at all. Just show me the price tag and that's it.
Yeah.
It's like you
Yeah.
don't even know if you're gonna get a Jeep or a Ferrari.
Yeah.
You're just like, as
Doesn't
long as
matter.
they're the
Will
same
it get me
price,
to
I don't
work?
care. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're only looking at price. You're not even caring if it gets you to work or not.
Yeah. I guess that's true. Is there a motor in
That's
there?
like you shopping for a place for your family to work out in, right? Now let's compare it to car shopping. You need a family-friendly car, but all you're doing is looking at price. Well, here's a little Mazda Miata
For my
for
7 kids.
but it's the same price, and that's all you
Yeah.
shopped for was price,
Yeah.
right? You know you're getting a car, but you have no idea that's exactly what it's like price shopping for a CrossFit gym.
Is that
Come
a
on, guys,
trigger
no
for you?
fucking price shop. It's such a trigger. It's one of my least like I almost don't want them when it's just a price
Yeah.
shop, but I know from my wife's perspective, who's like very she does know financially what needs to happen, and what's realistic. But I've seen very little people make a low enough income to where our barrier of entry is real.
Yeah.
When people use price as an excuse, it is complete and total bullshit.
Yeah.
Complete and total bullshit. I know this because I own my own business and have been struggling for so long to make ends meet there.
Uh-huh.
But I could still always afford extra things and things like that because we buckle down in other places. I don't eat a bunch of shit. I don't,
Yeah.
have a bunch of bad habits and things like that that add to it. We had somebody quit our gym saying that I'm looking to save in my budget. I have seen post after post after post on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, of this person traveling and
Yeah.
sending it, right? Event after, here's the final four, I'm going to that. Here's this, I'm going to that.
Yeah.
Or I'm at the party beach now. And it's like, dude, you are spending thousands a month on
Yeah.
travel
It's
and
what's
saying that
important. It's what's important to you.
our like 160 a month is expensive.
Yeah. It's all about
Bullshit.
prioritization in your life, right?
Total bullshit. And that's going to
it's not
catch
money.
up with you.
Yeah. That's I wish I could sit here and just listen to you rant about price is the objective or the is the reason.
It's
Is it
so
the money
silly.
or is it the mission?
Yeah. God, that guy was. Yeah.
That's awesome. Nothing else. Is that all you have to say about that?
I think so.
Are you sure? 'Cause I was really
Yeah.
enjoying myself over here.
I mean, I could keep ranting, but I don't feel like that helps everybody.
All right, that's fine. I'll move on then, I suppose. CrossFitters don't care about, what do you think it's going to be?
Looks, form.
Form. Oh,
Form.
you said it too.
Yeah.
I should have let you have it. bad, though.
Yeah, real CrossFitters do. Like,
Yeah.
shitty CrossFitters don't, but real CrossFitters do.
Yeah. Why is form so important?
Well, you're looking to increase your capacity across broad time and modal domains. Now, here's the drawback: is you can fake it to make it, right? So, like, if you know the score to beat, you can find ways to kind of cheat yourself to get ahead of that.
Uh-huh.
That's not what it's for. That's not how it's meant to be done, right? It's meant to be done with standards in mind, right? And that's why we do try to standardize all movements. And when we standardize a movement, it doesn't mean there's good form. It just means that standard is upheld.
Yeah.
Now, if you have good form while upholding the standards, you're usually saving the most amount of energy to accomplish it instead of spending the most amount of energy to accomplish it. So, like, looking at the way we squat with our knees wide and our standard is hips below the knees.
Yeah.
Right. So no matter what, that standard has to be upheld. Right. And so if we're trying to improve our tests on this squatting thing and we don't press those knees out, we don't activate our hips the same way. So then what happens is our quads and our calves, or the front of our shins or whatever,
Burning.
those burn out.
Yeah.
Well before everything else. Whereas when you combine more muscle to do the work, you can relax more in it and do it longer. Right. So most things have a reason as far as that goes. Sometimes the reason is looking further down the road to progress a skill on top of it. And sometimes it's about just becoming more efficient there. But no, I'd absolutely, it's silly. I've never seen a CrossFit gym say like, we don't care about your form, go faster.
Yeah. I appreciate like during the open or even like Murph, that's probably one thing you might be thinking about when you were talking about the squatting thing, when it's like, and don't do this, don't hit your feet or your hands on the ground because then you're leaning forward and you don't want to do this because your ass is going to start to burn. It's like all these different things to pay attention to while you're doing it, so you're not just going through the motion and you have like a better opportunity to score better, I guess would it be.
Well, most of the time people aren't having good form is because they're feeling that pressure on the time thing and they're trying to game it. So even like, I save a little energy if I don't extend my hip all the way.
Yeah.
But that's not the standard. Standard is you have to extend your hip all the way.
Yeah.
So that's you just not doing the rep correctly.
It's a no rep, bro.
Yeah. And so, good coaches are going around the gym being like, hey, that's not it.
Yep.
We got it right. They're giving them the cue, like extend your hip all the way every rep. And then when they do it right, they go, nice. That's it. That's what we're looking for right there. Continue. Right. Yeah. That's what coaching it. That's where our group fitness is different than other group models, because there's not just some like parrot at the front of the room. It's doing a dance and everybody follows along. It's do it, and then we make sure it's happening correctly.
Yeah. Jeff, you're swinging too much on the bar with your toes to bar. Damn it, Mitch. Leave
Restrict
me
this part
alone.
today. Let's
Yeah.
next week. Yeah.
It's still fresh in my mind is what it is. If you do CrossFit, you can't do other workouts?
Well, yes and no, but do you need to do other workouts?
Yeah, what are we trying to do?
I feel like CrossFit is trying to incorporate everything you need.
Yeah.
If the programming is true to CrossFit, it will. So just do CrossFit.
Yeah. Can we?
Is that someone who's like, I want to run?
Yeah.
I could see someone being like, I want to run 3 to 5 times a week, and if I do CrossFit, I can't do that. And it's like, well, yeah, that's you put a big premium on cardiovascular fitness there.
Yeah. I mean, it just has many boxes, offer specialized classes to improve mobility, gymnastics skills, or Olympic lifting, for example. I don't know if I mean this last one's better. Should we move on to the last one? Number one.
I don't understand that one fully.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yes and no depends on the goals and objectives.
CrossFit is dangerous.
I mean, this is one that CrossFit has been fighting for a long time, because another certifying body for personal trainers and training practices basically formatted some science to show that CrossFit was dangerous so that they could empirically prove that it's dangerous. And they did. And now they got sued. Yeah. They got sued for like a crazy amount of money by CrossFit, and they lost that big time.
Yeah.
And yeah, the problem is in the deal that they made, CrossFit doesn't get to talk about the win.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
You can't gloat? No gloating.
Which is part of, there's a huge conspiracy. So Greg Glassman, the guy who started CrossFit, the conspiracy is that he was kind of forced out through this under the guise of racism, which he totally isn't racist. It's the silliest thing in the world. Under this guise there. And then, you know, you had a few people talking about how they were sexually harassed working with Greg, and none of that was backed by any evidence at all.
Yeah.
In fact, it was kind of disproven, because there's a few people with specific accounts where they could prove that he was in another part of the world when that took place.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like a lot of that stuff where it was just like a bunch of BS, and they think it was all just to push him out so that they could settle this case to where CrossFit couldn't say, because he was offered millions and millions of dollars from this other certifying body to settle under this, like, hey, settle, and then we won't talk about this anymore, sweep it under the rug. And he said, no, I'm never going to settle, because it's very important to me that we clear the CrossFit name on this dangerous thing.
Well, so did he get pushed out?
Greg gets pushed out, happened in 2020.
Oh, okay.
New guy comes in, 6 months later, this lawsuit is settled for tons of money still. So CrossFit still made a ton of money off of it.
Yeah.
But Greg could have made more money just by settling that himself than he did selling CrossFit, probably.
Yeah.
Like, it was an insane amount of money that he was being offered to settle this stuff. And he knew that if he settled it, it wouldn't push the agenda and the mission of CrossFit. And so it wasn't worth the money. And the agenda is not dangerous. It's to get people healthy.
Yeah. I don't think I was going to say I've seen one person get injured, and she was hopping on one foot in our games.
It's my wife.
Yeah.
There's risk in everything we do.
Yeah.
Right? There's risk in everything we do. So yeah, there's going to be things that are dangerous, but any injury is a load versus capacity imbalance.
Yeah.
So if you're going to disregard the fact that you lead a stressful life and that you sleep 2 hours a night and that you eat like shit, then yeah, you're probably going to have a bad time in any fitness endeavor.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you're doing.
And you're going to injure yourself in any fitness endeavor.
Yeah.
Right? You might injure yourself not doing shit because you're just running yourself into the ground.
You could die.
Right?
Yeah.
But the goal of CrossFit is to improve your capacity. So if you're doing it right, you're going to improve your capacity. And that means you're going to be more resistant to those things. Right? The whole point of CrossFit was to make sure people weren't doing the same movement patterns so many times that they actually end up creating problems down the road because they're overdeveloped on one area versus another. Right? It's it's bullshit at large, but it can be easy for people to let their ego drive instead of challenge it, right? And that's where having good coaches is so important. But yeah, what a silly. I do find it frustrating that that's the overall mask. And like I've even heard, I'd say the box is the most dangerous implement in the gym, just because I think we have 3 dimensions on it and people are too lazy to get a smaller box. And it's like, you need to be like it should be a no-brainer that you're going to do this jump every single time. It shouldn't be
you'll nail
doubtful.
it. Yeah.
If you're doubting yourself on the height of the box, then it's just the wrong box for you.
Your box is too big.
The purpose of the box isn't to challenge your height of your jump. It's to actually make it so that you don't have to land super hard from a high jump.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the box is actually there for safety reasons. People just try to push themselves harder than they should.
Yeah.
And they lack the coordination. They lack the ability to produce power over and over and over again. And that's where it's like, but if we do it right, we'll build up to it. And accidents happen, right?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, someone, like I've done it. I'm a really good jumper. It's probably my strongest movement.
Not in the sand.
And not in sand. Sand's a little bit tougher, I'm noticing. I'm still probably a good jumper relative to everyone else.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, right.
But like when we're looking at that, I've still raked my shin along a box on 20 inches. It's just complacency in that point.
Yeah.
But the challenge is, are you going to blame the box or are you going to blame yourself and take some accountability there? Right? Ultimately, it's always accountability that's going to make you overcome something. Now, that being said, I don't wish that on anybody. I don't want to learn that way by having a huge setback, right? Yeah. Absolutely not. But that's where it's like, you should be confident and you should be listening to the coaches as they take you through progressions, because I've seen people not listen and get hurt.
Yeah.
I've also seen people get hurt doing things that like rebounding box jumps for high reps. There's a reason why CrossFit makes you step down in the open.
Yeah.
It's not to slow you down. It's to prevent people from trying to do something they shouldn't be trying to do.
Yeah. Blowing out your Achilles and oof. Yeah, that's rough. I have seen a couple of times with like people when they get there, they think they have like in their mind, maybe it's like, in the past they used to be like really good at lifting weights, right? But then you as like the coach, you're just like, dude, like take it easy, bro. Like we can just like, why don't we stay here? Why don't we stay here and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Just being safe. It's awesome.
Well, I just look at like the speed of their movement. I look at the coordination of their movement. And then as I see it deteriorate, it's like I have to go have that conversation, because most people are in the mindset of it's supposed to be hard. I'm supposed to feel this way. And it's like, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, but it doesn't mean everything falls apart and we just allow it to keep going. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's ways around that. But yeah, I would say, when you're looking at what's dangerous, it's probably more dangerous for you to eat like a bunch of shit, not sleep enough, drink a bunch of booze, and then try to go play volleyball or pick up basketball or something. Like that's way more dangerous. Way more dangerous to do a rec sport with 0 training than it is to do CrossFit every day.
Yeah.
Way
like soccer, I've seen a lot of people get hurt.
Way more dangerous to do rec league, especially as you're an adult and you have this former self that is really powerful and strong. And that's not where you're at today.
Yeah, you will get hurt.
It's so, I find it's frustrating because you can always find places to injure yourself in CrossFit too.
Yeah.
Right. But again, it's a matter of like, are you doing it correctly? Good technique, right? The intensity levels that your capacity can maintain. Are you eating right? Are you sleeping well? There's so many, like when you get injured, it's not the thing you did that injured you.
Is everything leading up to it?
It's all that stuff is part of it. Did you sleep enough? Are you leading, like inflammation's a huge part of that too, right? Is every day of your life just adding more inflammation to your life? Right? And if it is, then eventually the same amount of repetitions of anything is going to hurt you.
Yeah, come and get you. Got to pay the reaper.
It's all a management of load, essentially, towards capacity. I have a video on our YouTube channel about that.
Oh, yes.
But no, it's not inherently dangerous, not any more so than anything else that people are going to do. So
yeah, hell yeah. Sweet. 10 biggest conspiracy theories and myths about CrossFit. Debunked by yours truly, Mitch.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. Gosh, there's probably a lot more, but overall, anything you're making as a choice there is you moving to solve a problem or to move away from discomfort. So I hear a lot of those excuses, and it's to avoid discomfort.
Yeah.
It's not going to solve any problems.
Get uncomfortable.
So if you want to solve a problem and stop taking from everyone, like, you're going to have to start being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Make it happen.
All right, guys, this has been episode 20 on See You in Valhalla.
20.
We'll see you probably, we're going to take a week off and then we'll start it back up. And hopefully by then I'll get my shit together and we'll actually get this on Spotify and some other things too.
Oh, heck yeah.
And start advertising it more, because I don't think we advertise this at all.
Yeah, it's all organic. All right, sweet, man. Nice. Well,
All right.
I'll see you in Valhalla.